I think about death a lot. When I'm on a walk, when I'm in the shower, while I'm watching TV, while I'm studying. It pops into my head momentarily and reminds me that I could die at any point in any day. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, death can happen at any time. Live immediately. The concept of Memento Mori derives from antiquity, and it simply means remember you must die. Today the young and old are segregated. People tend to die in technologically advanced hospitals, and life expectancy has never been so high. On top of this, you have entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley who are researching ways to make humans immortal. The co-founder of Google has hopes to cure death, and the CEO of Oracle sees accepting our mortality as incomprehensible. Today, death seems almost escapable. It doesn't seem inconceivable that in 50 years' time there'll be a drug that could add years onto your life. Humans are clearly trying to imitate the immortal jellyfish or the Greenland shark that can live up to 500 years. Yeah, pretty cool, but not going to work with humans. The reality is that death is inevitable. Death is the great human unifier. It's something people both poor and rich must experience. I know in the past I've struggled to acknowledge death. Death seemed so scary, it seemed almost surreal. Like, where will I go? Is there an afterlife? What's the point in living if I'm just going to die? Memento Mori is not supposed to scare you, it's not supposed to lead to an existential crisis, it's not meant to make you panic. It's about overcoming your fear. And the Stoics believe that we shouldn't fear death, we should fear not beginning to live, because that's what we have agency in and that's what we can control. Adopting the mindset of Marcus Aurelius when he says, think of your life as over, and as a dead man, see what's left as a bonus. The Stoics weren't obsessed with death, they were obsessed with how to maximise the quality of life. So what are the benefits of contemplating Memento Mori? First one is, contemplating your mortality leads to urgency. Marcus Aurelius put it really bluntly. He said, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you think, say and do. Look what happens when someone gets a terminal cancer prognosis. They start living every day like it's their last. They travel the world, they climb a mountain, they start fighting for a cause, they start spending more time with their family. However, what people who do not have a terminal cancer prognosis don't realise is that we all have death sentences. We're all going to die, and it could be at any point. We don't have to wait for a terminal cancer prognosis to start living our lives like this. The Stoics remind us that we live life like it was meant to go on forever. Those of us that have not been struck by the wrath of death seem content to waste away life on video games, social media, eating bad food, not striving towards any goals. But when we recognise there is no reason to say this hour could be our last, it gives you a sense of urgency to get things done. So think to yourself, if you had 24 hours to live, what would you do? How would you spend them? You'd probably not lie in or watch the TV. You need to adopt this mentality. I know it's cliche, but live every day as if it was your last, because it very, very well could be. Samuel Johnson said that when a man knows he is to be hanged in the next fortnight, it concentrates the mind wonderfully. If you're a student and you're aware that the next sentence you're typing up could be your last, it suddenly becomes more important and it becomes easier to focus on the task. Death reminds us to waste less time and prioritise the things that matter. Think about it, in a day there's endless interruptions. You get emails, you get phone calls, you get unexpected events, you get random visitors. The number of people who stand ready to consume your time to no purpose is countless. The Stoics believed that thinking about death reveals how trivial things are that we hold in our esteem. We've all heard of the expression, you can't take money to the grave. Well, Seneca pretty much said that in a more articulate way. He said, we're tight-fisted with property, money, and yet think too little of wasting time, the one thing about which we should all be the toughest misers. Seneca points out that we're very defensive over material things and things we own, but we're very imprudent when it comes to how we spend our time. So thinking about death will make us prioritise what matters, and then we'll waste less time doing things that don't mean anything. The third reason why we should contemplate our mortality is because thinking about our mortality cures the fear of death. The Stoics pointed out that the fear of death is completely irrational because it's something outside your realm of control, and therefore we should remain completely indifferent to it. As Epictetus put it, suffering arises from trying to control things that we can't control. So once we accept we have no control over death, and when it happens, the fear will stop, the suffering will cease, and then we'll be more likely to live an anxious-free life. Realising that we're going to die and realising that death is certain can be actually quite liberating. It liberates us from self-criticism, fear, guilt. There's a great quote, and it's, "Existence is like a sandcastle, ready to be erased by the winds of time." So whatever happens in your life, none of it will matter in the bigger picture. Everything you do or say will be forgotten. It'll be erased by time. So it doesn't matter how embarrassing something was or how many people saw you fail. We are all quite self-conscious, worrying about what people think about us. But when we're out in public and we feel self-conscious, look around and realise everyone you see will be dead in a short time. And it doesn't matter how you look or what you say, it will not be remembered. Thinking about death is an invitation to act as you please. I'm not saying go and punch someone in the face or go and have an orgy, but stop caring what people think because they will be dead soon, as will you. And the fifth and final reason why you should contemplate your mortality is because it teaches gratitude. Once we realise we'll die one day, we will be grateful for everything we see, everything we smell, everything we hear, and something mundane like going on a walk will become an adventure, and we just will embrace every minute more instead of waiting for future or waiting for a night out with our mates. Instead of just embracing our present life as it appears right now. So the conclusion is, see yourself as dead already. Live every day as a bonus. Nothing should be taken for granted. You never know when you're going to die, so seize every opportunity, and remember, nothing is more important than time. So I was just editing this video and then I get a knock at the door, and it's the postman, and he's delivered my Memento Mori coin, which is a bit of a coincidence. And I bought this to remind myself that whatever I do today or whatever I say, it doesn't matter in the bigger picture. And it has a little message on the back, and it says, "Death looms above and life hangs but by a thread. Remember this in everything that is thought, done and said, that your faults die before you do." Another coincidence was, as I was filming the coin outside, an ambulance arrived on my street, and it's a living embodiment of Memento Mori and to always remain grateful for our lives. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you.